Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and in this video, I'm going to share my experience traveling to the Atacama Desert in the country of Chile, which is my country number 97, and that video is going to come up right now. During my trip to Chile, one of my bucket list destinations in this country is to go to the Atacama Desert. So after flying from Santiago to go all the way to Calama, Calama is the launching point if you want to go to anywhere in the Atacama Desert. And from there, as soon as we left the gate, tons of transportation company started approaching all the tourists and all the travelers that came out of the plane, offering them their transportation service to go to San Pedro de Atacama. One of the company is called Trans VIP, and they actually had this one girl that speaks English that helped guide us on what to expect when purchasing a ticket to take a bus all the way to San Pedro de Atacama, and we decided to go with their company. We ended up buying a round-trip ticket because it was 3,000 Chilean pesos cheaper. We ended up paying 27,000 Chilean pesos to go with this company for their round-trip bus service. As soon as they had enough customers, they loaded us into the shared van and they put us on the front. I would say sitting on the front is not the most comfortable thing. However, you do get the benefit of the nice view and you can take pictures and videos from the front. So I think for one direction, it's good to sit in the front, but on the way back, I would not recommend sitting in the front at all. The bus did drop us off right at our accommodation, which is called Chill Atacama Harikun Tour. So we ended up booking it for 2 nights, and the owner of the accommodation, his name is Leonardo, very great guy. I highly recommend this accommodation. It was hands down the most comfortable bed I've ever slept in the whole Chile during my entire time there. It was even more comfortable than staying in a Marriott hotel in Santiago. That's how comfortable the beds in that place. Now, we had nothing booked in terms of tours, so we spoke to Leonardo, which is the owner of this place, and he hooked us up by helping us book 2 separate tours. Unfortunately, we couldn't do the astronomy tour because it was full moon, so one day I'll have to go back to this place and do that astronomy tour. And because we booked such last minute, Leonardo said that he managed to book us for a tour to the Valle de la Luna. However, this tour company is not his first choice at all, so he said, at least you get to go. The cost of this tour is 40,800 Chilean pesos per person, and this includes the ticket to enter the valley. The second tour that we purchased is called the Tatio Geyser tour, so this is going to be the following day, and the cost for this tour is 40,000 Chilean pesos. However, we also have to pay for the entrance ticket, which we will pay once we actually arrive to that place the next day, and it's 15 Chilean pesos and they only take cash. So while waiting for our half-day tour to start to the valley, Karen and I went to a restaurant that Leonardo recommended, and this restaurant is fantastic. The restaurant is called Barros Restaurante. It's a short walk from where we were staying, and we had some awesome mango juice. I had the beef, and the food was just amazing. I would totally recommend it. After eating lunch, we got prepared to join the tour. And the tour was on the hectic side, I'm not gonna lie. The company will contact you through WhatsApp to let you know they're there. They were actually quite late because they're picking up other tourists. And the tour itself was quite disorganized. The tour guide herself was really good, and she spoke several different languages. And it was very impressive to hear her switch between English, Spanish, and Portuguese. The tour was dominated by Brazilian people, and some of them were coughing, which ended up being a bad thing because I think I got COVID-19 from them later on, because when I came back to Canada, I had COVID-19. But they were all nice people, except for this one British couple that stole me and Karen's seat inside the van, and they were pretty petty, so they're not cool, but the Brazilians were really cool. Once we got to the first destination in the Moon Valley, it was super cool. So we did a long hike. I recommend you wear hiking shoes. I decided to wear runners, which was a bad idea. My shoe just got sand all over it, and it also got it really dirty. And it's a lengthy hike, so you have to make sure that you have a hat on and you have sunscreen because it's blaring hot in the Atacama Desert. Make sure you also have water because you don't want to get dehydrated. And after a lengthy hike with amazing views, we finally made it to the end and took lots of pictures and videos of this amazing landscape. After we finished this place, we headed back to the van and headed to the next place, which is very similar looking to where we went, but with slightly different scenery. Eventually, we had a snack break where the tour company put out a spread of different snacks, drinks, and some alcoholic beverages for those who wants to drink alcohol. And I would say the food for me wasn't very good because I'm lactose intolerant and most of the food had dairy in it. The last part of the tour is actually to watch the sunset in the Atacama Desert, and the sunset itself was a very long process to wait for it to go down. However, I'm not sure if it's worth it or not, but it was definitely pretty when that short few seconds of the sun disappearing from the horizon. After the tour was finished, they actually dropped us off in the center of the city, so not in our actual accommodation, and we had to walk all the way back to our accommodation. Karen and me screwed up and we decided to take the longer way back, which might not be a bad thing because we did see some stuff that we haven't seen before. And unfortunately for us, we got trapped outside the accommodation because Leonardo forgot to give us the key to get back in this place. Luckily, there is internet access outside the gate and we were able to message him, and he hurried back to the accommodation to give us our key and let us in. The next day, Leonardo told us that the tour to the geyser is going to be super cold, so we tried our best to bundle up. It was also higher in altitude, so some people who get altitude sickness need to bring some Diamox for that. It's also a lengthy drive to go to the geyser place. However, this company that we went with on the second day was absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best tour companies I've ever joined during my whole life of traveling. They were super organized, very good at communicating. The guide spoke perfect English. He actually lived in the US for a short bit, that's why his English was so good. And before long, off we went to the geyser. The tour this time was full of older people, so the previous tour was full of really young people, so it was a little bit of a different crowd. By the time we actually got to the place where the geyser was, it was so freaking cold. I was shivering non-stop. Their facilities was quite nice actually, so if you use the washroom, it's very clean. We went ahead and paid for our ticket once we arrived there, and the tour guide took us out to go check out the geyser. This place is amazing. It's mind-blowing. You can see water spouting out violently out of the ground, and he gave us some safety procedures when exploring this place because obviously you could get burned. Coming to this place, even though it was freezing cold, was totally worth it. And even though we left San Pedro de Atacama at 4 a.m., it was totally a good decision because apparently they said that you can only see this place during the day because you only see the smoke coming out of the geyser in the morning when it's cold. Apparently later on, when the temperature goes back up, you can't see the smoke anymore because the smoke is actually from the heat and the cold coming together. This place is definitely a National Geographic kind of place, and our tour guide did a fantastic job explaining the cost of the geyser as well as humans taking advantage of the geyser to produce electricity. And even though we were in the middle of the desert, because of the geyser's presence, there's actually water in the area, so there's also vegetation as a result. After checking out the geyser, we went on top of this hill and we had lunch there, and the lunch was really yummy. It was well prepared, and they had this giant avocados that was really good, and it was just a good place to chill out before heading to our next spot. Our next spot after a lengthy drive was actually a place full of flamingos. So you can see a water and there's tons of flamingos everywhere. It was really cool to see them. There's also a lot of alpacas running everywhere, which was pretty neat. And even as we prepared to go even further back to San Pedro de Atacama, we also stopped in a small town for a washroom break. And it's also a neat place to just check out because what's this little town doing in the middle of nowhere? And the final thing that we saw on our way back to San Pedro de Atacama is this creature that looks like a rabbit, but it's actually a rat, and they're well camouflaged. So our tour guide actually took a picture of them and showed us what they look like, which was super cool. And I would say seeing the geyser was the highlight of our trip to San Pedro de Atacama, besides of course the accommodation we were staying at with the awesome bed, and also alongside the restaurant that we went to the previous day. As a matter of fact, we loved that restaurant so much we went back again that same day after the geyser tour, and again I had my mango juice, I ate some more yummy food before heading back and just chilling out in the hostel and just really enjoying that super comfortable bed. The next day, it took a while before the Trans VIP company to come pick us up from our accommodation. Their communication was not very good, so I think they're better for going to San Pedro de Atacama, but going back to Calama, they're not the best. I was also coughing a lot that day. I think I got something from the Brazilian tourists from 2 days before, and I started getting worried because I was coughing quite a bit. So by the time we got back to Santiago, I actually thought maybe I should fly home sooner. Originally, the plan was to continue the trip to Central America, but we decided to fly back home afterwards just because of my cough, and I ended up getting COVID by the time I got back home. Anyways, that's about it for my trip to the Atacama Desert in Chile. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. And don't forget to sign up to our Travel and Free newsletter to get the latest tips and strategies on how to save money for travel and to learn more about traveling around the world. Until next time, I'll see you then.